Hello, a very good day, ladies and gentlemen, depending on whichever part of the world you're watching us from, and of course, depending on your time zone. That is, welcome to another episode of the Kanini Talk here on Herman Manyora's YouTube channel. It's a pleasure to always have you here as well as Prof.
Yes.
Is you with us today, Prof? How are you?
Me, I'm okay. Yeah, thank God.
As usual, as the Nairobi Review production, we are here, a team of journalists all dedicated to bring the country up to date with comprehensive analysis of everything taking place in the country right now. And of course, the country, let me say, is heading to some sort of a state of anarchy, so to say, because I'm looking at what is taking place, what is being said on various platforms and the news that is coming to us. But then I want us to focus on what is actually taking place. Immediately after the previous demonstrations, the president went to the deputy president's backyard there addressing residents. Then he talked tough and he said he'll not allow these people to come and demonstrate. And then he reduced this talk to be about Raila. So let me get, just explain to me, or make me understand the kind of tactic that the president is using, more of centraling the problem here about Raila rather than what people are talking about, the high cost of living. How does this work for or against him in this entire cycle?
You know, it's fortunate for the president that, in the sense that the issues are so clear. They are so well defined. It's just like being told this phone is here, it can fall down and break. Put it at the center. That's how fortunate the president is.
Okay.
The issues are so clear, and what needs to be done is so clear. It's not about Raila. No. Raila is a scapegoat. Yeah.
So why
it's just about looking at the cost of living and seeing what it is you can do to bring it down. It's about looking at measures proposed for taxation and levies and listening to the voices of the people crying and say, okay, fine, this thing may be nice, but people haven't understood, or that the economic times are such that we can't implement the housing. And then you suspend. For the president, it's so simple. Instead of running around and talking about Raila, it's just look at the cost of living, do something about it. Okay? Look at the taxes and levies, bring them down.
So why do you think the president and the entire government side definitely hell-bent on convincing the country that this entire problem is about Raila and not about the cost of living?
But the people you are trying to convince don't trust, don't believe you. Yeah. They know it's not about Raila. Raila has nothing to do with the
He
food.
says it's about Raila's personal.
The people who are hurting in this country and they are now angry, hungry and angry, they know it's about food. And they know Raila has nothing to do with it. Yeah. They know it, though. I mean, even children know. Raila has nothing to do with the cost of food. How?
Anyway, in as much as he knows very well that Raila has nothing to do with the cost of food, but then he's brought in Raila into the picture. Has he succeeded in doing that?
If he had succeeded, people would not be going to the streets.
Okay.
Yeah.
But why? Do you think he's so much difficult for him?
If people go in the streets who are not making an impact, he would not be as agitated as he is. Yeah,
so why do you think it's so much difficult for him to address head-on what people are talking about here, cost of living?
Sometimes there are many reasons, and I've addressed many of these reasons. But top on the list on the list of reasons is that when people are in power, they sort of stop seeing the things that the rest of us see. Because if you are William Samoei Ruto, president, and somehow you got out of power. Either you didn't win your second term, or maybe even before your second term, you are removed from power. When you are seated somewhere, maybe under a tree in Surugoi, and you look at the reasons you left power, you can't believe it. I'm sure Uhuru now is wondering, how could he have failed to stop Ruto from being president? Where he is, he must be wondering how. Now he's seeing the things we were seeing, he was not seeing. So Ruto may not be seeing the things all of us are seeing. But if they end up messing him from some corner somewhere, he will be wondering, how come we couldn't see? Because I'm telling you, the issues in this country are so clear. And you don't have to do all of them.
Okay.
No. People are also not that unreasonable. People know these are hard times for everybody across the world. What people want to see is effort. What people want to see is empathy. What people want to see is demonstrated understanding of the hard times. So that when you call people to sacrifice, when you want to tax people, they are seeing from your side, you are leading from the front. They are seeing government expenditure is going down, not up. Then when you ask them to sacrifice, they will sacrifice. When you ask them to skip a meal a day, they will skip. You get it? Because they are seeing the effort from the top, that everything has been made, every measure has been taken to ensure that there is no wastage. I have told you, today as I speak to you, every day I'm speaking to you here, there are people in Mombasa, there are people in Naivasha, there are people in Europe, there are people in Dubai, there are people across the world, our leaders, traveling, using millions and millions of shillings. Then they come and tell us we pay taxes. So this is simply the problem of not seeing, because you are in power, you are oblivious of the suffering of the masses. But there are many other reasons, including being nice to people who helped you. But the main one is, when you are in power, you have to be careful, because the temptation is not to see what everybody else is seeing. Because now you cannot tell people to sacrifice, to pay more taxes. Money to go and be wasted by MPs enjoying in Mombasa, in Naivasha, in Dubai, in Europe. They are all over. If you made a roll call today of members of parliament, all of you gather in parliament grounds, we are giving you 12 hours so that you don't say you couldn't reach. You may not get half of them. They are all over the world. It's crazy. It's absolute crazy. And that's why we are where we are. Yes.
A number of leaders from the government side, of course, those who are allied to the government, are saying that Raila Odinga and the former president are actually using these demonstrations to sabotage Ruto's legitimately elected government. That is as far as these things are concerned, and going all for doing all these sorts that they're doing right now. I wonder whether they'll actually succeed in convincing the people that it's actually Odinga and Uhuru versus the people, not actually the cost of living versus the government right now, as people are trying to put it.
Nobody will be convinced. They are wasting their time. They should know, but people are not.
Right now, people are talking about the sentiments of Moses Kuria. You had that conversation with Jadel Kabiro at the other time about Raila's some sort of allegations of assassination and all manner of stuff, be it on what will take place, I don't know, on Friday or Wednesday. The conversation is actually changing, and people are focusing their attention there. What is it that can happen to Raila? So it's more of, is it Raila, or is it what the people are facing right now? Would you see that perhaps they've succeeded in doing that?
No, you will not change. I want to give you an example. The president has done two things. The government has done two things, and they have gone unnoticed. Government has increased salaries. Nobody noticed.
Okay.
Just before the Wednesday demonstrations, government withdrew the requirement for retesting for drivers. Some drivers were on the streets the following day. What does that tell you? That tells you, one, the window I gave the president is fast closing. Otherwise, everything will be too little, too late. And I remember mentioning some 4 or 5 months ago. I said in another 3 or so months, that window will be closed. So whatever you do, and all revolutions are like that. By the time you realize things are bad and you begin giving in, and nobody notices. So that's number one. The second reason why nobody notices those things and the president can as well do anything and people not notice is the ball. There's only people are looking at ugali. You can do all these things, but until you touch ugali, you have wasted your time. Yeah.
Okay.
You can do anything. You can even create heaven, so long as you have not addressed the central issue, which is food, which is the cost of living. Once the president touches the cost of living, beginning with food, maize flour, ugali, it does not matter what he does. He can do anything. I'm telling you, he can even declare free education. The main thing here is not Raila. The main thing is nothing other than the cost of living, at the center of which is ugali.
Something that
before you touch your ugali, you can do anything.
of course the president
People
is
don't
aware
listen to you.
the president is aware of this. The government is aware of
They are
this.
not aware.
As we are talking about,
They are not aware.
So that is why they are talking about Raila.
they are not aware.
So they are not aware of what
To be
things are going
aware,
through.
you know, some people don't know, is that to be aware is to be in a state where you must do something about something. That's only when, the only time you are aware is the time you are in a position to move into action. So they are not aware. They can hear noises around them, but they have not reached the state of awareness. To be in a state of awareness means, let's say you are here and there's danger here. You may not be aware. There may be some indications of something, maybe some smell or some noise. Maybe there's an animal in the house crawling at something dangerous, but you are not yet aware. The moment you become aware, my friend, you'll jump out, or you look for a stick. You get it? So they are not aware.
So you're saying that the government is not aware. That is
if they are aware, they would move into action.
Let's move to Raila's side. Definitely, I'm wondering whether this time round is actually justified in holding these demonstrations that we are witnessing right now, because right now his main reason as to why people are going to the streets is because of the high cost of living. He's tried to pit that conversation whereby he's saying that punda mechoka. So he's pitting it as if it's some sort of the people versus the government. They are putting in the cost of living as is the main bone of contention therein. Previously, in the previous demonstrations, he had got a number of issues, some of which, or rather most of which, or all of which have not been settled back then. Right now, we're not hearing anything to do with the opening of the servers at no ward, construction of the IBC for that matter. Right now, he's talking about cost of living. Could it be true that the former Prime Minister is perhaps taking advantage of the plight of Kenyans right now to demand for his own interest, as the government side is putting it?
It will not surprise me. Politicians do that. They take advantage of poverty. You think politicians will want poverty to end? Do you think politicians will want every Kenyan to be a member of the middle class? No, they will not want, because then who will vote for them? Middle class people don't care about politics. They don't vote. So I would not be surprised if he's taking advantage of the suffering. Ruto did the same. That's how he's president. He looked at the suffering of the people and he took advantage of it. If Raila is taking advantage of the pain the people are going through, it's normal with politicians, and I will not be surprised. Yeah.
So what then would be the best solution for the Ruto regime right now? Is it about changing the conversation from the cost of living and the hard times that the Kenyans are facing right now to Raila Odinga, or rather just focusing on the Kenyans?
In fact, Raila Odinga is a distraction. They should be careful. They are being distracted from doing that which will save them and save the people of Kenya and save this country from destruction. That's just a distraction. The destruction. The issues, like I've said, are very clear. Bring down the cost of living. There are no two ways. Bring down the cost of living and let Raila call demonstrations. The servers may still be an issue, but nobody will go to the streets because of servers. Yeah.
Right now you're saying,
although it will be an underlying reason, which if you do not address, we will be back where we are in 2027 and 2032. It is huge. It is big. It is important. And we must address the political question in this country. And elections are part of that political question. We must. But for now, it is about food and taxes. You touch on food and taxes in a positive way, and everything dies a natural death. People go back to their business. Raila can have a few rallies here and there. They will not have much impact, but not to say that the issue will have gone away. The issue of the political question will remain. And until we address it, we shall have another round of the same.
Do you then believe that perhaps the president and the entire government should actually change their modus operandi as far as dealing with this as mere protest is concerned?
Just ask me if you are the advisor to the government.
Definitely.
And the government was a government that can listen to you. What is it? It's a very simple thing. I'll just tell the government, do the simple things you need to do. In fact, the things are so simple. What we call low-hanging fruits. You don't even need to go up a tree. The fruits are just there. You pluck them and you eat as you move. You put some in the basket, some you eat. There's nothing. Just the cost of living. Bring it down. have a fresh look at the levies you have proposed, which are now law, the taxes, which are now law. Okay? Do something about that. Then look at government expenditure. Surely. Government expenditure. Surely. Government expenditure. Stop you Korea Wizi. You know, it baffles me. Maybe I'm a villager. Maybe I'm naive. Maybe I'm too old-fashioned. Maybe I'm stupid even. Because I cannot understand how this, the thieving, the stealing games are still going on when the economy is doing the way it's doing. I can't understand government has people within it still scheming and making billions at time like this. I just can't understand it. Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I can't see things. Perhaps I am stupid. Because I would have thought even the most bold thief among us should know this is not the time to steal. Because this is a dangerous time. Where will you eat this money when this country is down? Utafanya nini hiyo pesa? Because this is the only country you can show off money. If you are a refugee in some country, your money is useless to you because, let me tell you, in some many of these countries, to distinguish a poor man from a rich man is not very easy. Just go up to Southern Africa, up Namibia, Botswana, what? People dress the same. People are just the same. People go to eat in the same places. You'll want to show with your money, nobody cares. This is a country where people put on, just could dress kuanzia hapa up to the head. Our ministers are dressing in the region of 20 million shillings. People are using $250,000 just to dress. Shoes, socks, suit, shirt, tie, watch. $300,000, $500,000. You can only do it in a stupid country like Kenya. So let this country be peaceful. Then you can still show off your biryani suit and your watch of $100,000. Yes.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Change the conversation. Stop focusing on Raila Odinga and the former President Uhuru Kenyatta. That is a word from Professor Herman Manyora here. Ladies and gentlemen, we do hope that our president is actually watching and the entire government is actually watching so they can get these nuggets of wisdom from Herman Manyora here. Remember, these things you only get them from a Nairobi Review, and from this particular channel we've got a number of presenters and journalists who will be coming up on board. Of course, Jadel Kabiru is always here, you know him, as well as Richard Mwenje, who will bring you up to date with comprehensive analysis of everything taking place in this country and abroad. Till we have this conversation again, have yourself a lovely day. My name is Evans Okinyi.